What's up, everybody? Hope y'all are having a good break. So a couple of you had questions about how to add a float, and remember, floats are simply just adding content that is side by side. The code isn't going to automatically do that for you. So when you want that to happen, what we're going to do, we're going to kind of do the box model where we have a couple boxes and we make those side by side. So we'll start off in our wrapper just like we have, and I just have a sample boilerplate here. And I'm going to do open caret, and I'll say div id equals first. And you can float anything. So even though I'm using a div here, you can set this up for your images. You can set this up for other content. You can do whatever you actually want. So you don't have to put a div here. All right, it can be an image. So you can write that image source and then give it a class, and it can float also. So it's not just limited to divs. You can do this for anything. And we'll say div id equals second. Oh, write this in the quotes. Second. All right. So let's get these side by side. So in the style sheet, remember a hashtag comes for a ID. Say hashtag first. And we're going to give this a width. Now remember, this is important when you're working with floats, is that the width matters. And if we go back up here to the top, all we have is 1200 pixels that we can actually work with. We can't go over that. If we go over that, your floats will collapse. So, and remember, we want two boxes to be side by side. So that means everything as a whole together can't be greater than 1200 pixels. So if I say 600 pixels, I'm in pretty good shape here. And I'll give it a height, and I'm not limited in my height, so I'll just say 250 pixels. If you want this to be 300, feel free. And then let's just give it a background color so we can see it. And I'll do coral. Alright. And I want to do the same thing for my other one. So I'll say hashtag second. And then I'll say width. And I'll just actually copy this and just change the background color a little bit. So instead of coral, maybe I'll do something a little bit tealish. Alright, there we go. So I have these, and if I live preview, okay. Well, here's our two boxes, right? So they're not side by side. So what do we need to do? We need to add a float. So I'm going to tell this box, hey, you float to the left where you're kind of currently at, and then you float to the right. So if I come up here and I say to the first one, float, and you go to the left, and then on my second one, I can say, hey, you float and go to the right. And if I hit save, voila, there we go. Now, this is where the problem lies. Let's say we have a third box that's down here, and this is the step y'all forget. The problem comes after the float. So if I wanted something to come after it, back in my index, let's say we had another box, div id equals, and I'll say third, right? And I hit, come over here, and I say hashtag third, and I'll give this a width of 1200 pixels, just make it the whole size. Feel free to play around with your height and widths as you like. And then height, I'll say 300 pixels, and then just give it a simple background color, maybe something like blue. And I'm going to hit save, and let's see what problems we have. Aha. Now, two problems are going to happen. Now, you can see that the only reason I'm seeing this now is because this is 250 and then this box is 300. So what's happening is I have to tell whatever comes after the float to clear past it. Alright, so I have to tell it to clear. And then the other problem that you'll get is if you try to space it out, meaning that you try to add like a margin top to move it down, it won't work. So we have to add 2 lines of code here. So what I have to do, the first thing I need to do is tell it to clear past the float. So if I say clear both and then I live preview, voila, it's cleared past the float. Alright, now the next thing you need to do if you want to space it is give it that display tag, and it's display inline block. And if you do that, you won't have any problems and every single thing will work. So that is simply how this is how you actually add a float. So go ahead and try this with your own projects.